Mentioned, who is the Milwaukee Brewers' most valuable player of the first half?
Well, this is an interesting question because it illustrates that, they don't have a standout player. I would go Travis Shaw. He has been the steadiest offensive producer for this team. He's up over 60 RBIs now, batting cleanup. That doesn't surprise you. But the consistency of his at-bats has really impressed Craig Counsell. He plays a position at third base that they had a hole at, and they sort of are thin at in the organization. And that's why they made that trade with the Red Sox to bring him in. In hindsight, what a trade for the Brewers, and what a trade for the opposite reason for the Red Sox. That is a guy that would look really good in Boston right now. So he's been, I think, Milwaukee's most consistent guy. But really, this came up with Craig Counsell the other day. They're an interesting team because, on most first-place teams, it would be easy to name the MVP, or the reason it's difficult is that it would be, two guys, Rendon, Harper, for example, in Washington, where you would have a hard time choosing between one of them. But in Milwaukee, it's really that they just don't have any guys that stand out way above the rest. It's been really kind of a matter of depth and everybody kind of doing their thing. And, as you look at reasons to – people here are looking for reasons to believe. I actually think that's one of them, is that they haven't necessarily, since Thames in April at least, been carried by one single guy.
Another name you could throw out there, Adam, has been Corey Knebel. I mean, this guy has been off the charts. I don't know where he came from or how he's doing it, but, he has been dominant in the back end of that bullpen.
Yeah, well, he came from Texas in the Yovani Gallardo trade a few years ago, and before that he was a Detroit Tigers draft pick. Power fastball, a really good knuckle curve that he has gained tremendous confidence in this season. An all-star for the Brewers. And look, this is a matter of a player responding well to adversity, because early last season he was on the DL with an oblique. He came back to the Brewers, I think it was about mid-June, and really struggled. Commanded bad command. The Brewers demoted him to AAA. So as of this time last year, he's pitching at AAA. He came back late last season to sort of reestablish himself in a bullpen after the Brewers traded away their two back-end guys, Jeremy Jefferson, Will Smith. And he came into the season as a setup guy to Neftali Feliz, the Milwaukee's sort of one major free agent acquisition over this past winter, except for besides Eric Thames. And Feliz faltered. They felt confident giving the ball to Corey Knebel, and he's been really, really good. 40 appearances this season. He has a strikeout in all of them. That's a major league record for a single season. Bruce Sutter had the old record, the Hall of Famer with the great splitter. He struck out a batter in 39 straight games in 77. So Knebel is the first guy since then. The next one up is the record spanning season. So because Corey struck out a batter in his last appearance of last season, he's got 41 straight games with a strikeout, and Aroldis Chapman has that record at 48. So when you're talking about Bruce Sutter and Aroldis Chapman, it gives you a little bit of context. And I think for a closer, strikeouts, sometimes people argue strikeouts overrated. Well, I think that's changing in the game, number one. I also think for a closer, that's a pretty good weapon to have, and he has.